Hello and welcome everyone once again to another biology class of Fun Scholar. And as stated in the previous lecture, this is the last lecture regarding the chapter Adolescence or reaching the age of 8. Other hormones, but not the least, we will deal with reproductive health, the issue of reproductive health and how to deal with the challenges of reproductive health. So this is the last lecture where after discussing all these topics, we will know how to lead a healthy life, keeping in mind the challenges of adolescence, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's begin. So the first topic heard, or you might have seen various stories or various scenarios where the female were actually cursed for bearing female children over and over again. That there was a tradition that male children only will bear the legacy of the generation or will be the torch bearers to carry forward the bright future. And so if the mother is unable to bear male child, so the mothers were cursed or they were driven out of their homes, and there were many domestic violence taking place against them. So all this societal, we will say, curses used to take place until and unless science discovered that there is actually no loophole in the females for bearing either male child or female child. Rather, it is the male partner or the father who determines whether the unborn baby will be a male or a female. So until now also, the people who are ignorant or to whom this knowledge has not reached, so they still believe that it is due to the females only. But it is our duty, the duty of the educated people and the knowledgeable young stars, to carry forward this knowledge, to alleviate all the societal, I will say, superstitions that is bogging down our society. So therefore, before you carry forward this knowledge to anyone else, let us be clear on this topic so that you can also explain them with actual clarity. So the sex determination is a vital thing, that it was a major breakthrough for the scientists to discover that the sex determination idea lies in the chromosomes. Now, we know chromosomes are actually the genetic material carrying substances. They are present in the nucleus of each and every cell of our body, right? When the cell chromosomes are actually the highly coiled structures. So if you look into the chromosomes, they are highly coiled. Now, in each nucleus, if we know from the chapter cell, so that is the basic chapter. So this is, for example, a circle to be a nucleus, which is known as nucleolus. So nucleolus is a dense material which lies, it is a spherical body which lies within nucleus. So it is the nucleus, and within this nucleolus is there. Now within nucleolus we get to find chromosomes, right? Chromosomes are there, and in the so in the nucleus we have got nucleolus and the chromatin fibers. So these chromatin fibers, they coil up and they form chromosomes during cell division. When the cell is about to divide, they coil up and they form this densely coiled structure called chromosomes. Now, the number of chromosomes vary according to the species. Plants have got, now each plant has got certain number of chromosomes. It's not the same for each and every plant species. Similarly, in the animal kingdom also, the number of chromosomes vary according to the species. So, if I talk about human beings, for human beings, the total number of chromosomes is 46, or we can say 23 pairs. Each chromosome is present in pair. So 23 pairs, that makes it total 46 number of chromosomes in the nucleus of each and every cell of the human body. Out of this 46 number of chromosomes, 44 or 22 pairs, they are called autosomes, and 2 or 1 pair is called allosome. Autosomes are the somatic chromosomes or the body chromosomes. Means they determine the height, weight, color of your hair, color of your iris, then the skin tone, each and everything. All the traits related to your body structure and to your body physiology. They control all these traits. But the last pair, that means the allosomes, they actually are called the sex chromosomes. They are called the sex chromosomes. So they actually determine the sex of the individual, whether male or female, the last pair. So allele means those who are different. So there are two types of sex chromosome. One is X and another is Y. These two chromosomes determine the combination of these two chromosomes determine whether the individual will be male or female. Now, in case of the female, means the ovum, we know zygote is formed when ovum and sperm, they combine together, right, during fertilization. Now, ovum always carries X chromosome. All the ova in the female body carry X chromosome only. But the sperms vary in their chromosome type. Some sperms carry Y chromosome while some other can carry X chromosome. It varies. So, if a sperm carrying X chromosome fertilize with the egg which has already got X chromosome, so the combination will be XX and the child born will be female. On the other hand, if the Y chromosome carrying sperm meets the ovum with X chromosome, the combination will be XY and the individual or the unborn baby will be male. So from this we got to know two things. Number one, it's not the mother but the father or the male partner who is responsible to determine the sex of the unborn baby. According to the sperm that meets with the ovum, the sex of the unborn child is determined. And number two, there is 50-50 chance of either the female or the male child to be born. So the chances of female is 50% and that of male is also 50%. So the sperm which carries the definite type of sex chromosome is responsible to determine the sex. Now, why more so? Because we know when gametes are formed. Gametes mean this ovum and sperm. Now, during gamete formation, out of this 46 number of chromosomes, only 23 or half of the 46, that means 23 number of chromosomes, they are received through the meiotic cell division or meiosis. This is known as the half cell division. Only the half of the chromosomes are received in the gametes. Now, a similar case happens for ovum. From the oocyte, which actually helps in the development of ovum, so only half the total number of chromosomes, that means 23 number of chromosomes, they are obtained in ovum. So ovum contains 23 number of chromosomes. Sperm also contains 23 number of chromosomes from the spermatocytes which give rise to sperms. Now, among these 23 number of chromosomes, there will be 22 autosomes and one sex chromosome. So, this one sex chromosome in the sperm can either be X or Y. So, if it is X, so then female child will be born due to the combination of XX, and if it is Y, so the male XY, right? So it depends on what type of chromosome the sperm is carrying when the sperm is carrying, which is going to meet the ovum, right? So this is the mechanism of sex determination. And again, if you have any doubt, let's further.
Life begins with a single cell. For you, for me, for all of us. We know that the fertilized cell divides repeatedly to form a zygote. This will later take the form of an embryo. But wait, who decides whether the embryo should develop into a male or a female individual? Is it the mom or the dad? Or is it the nutrients that are made available during growth? In this video, let us study how the sex of the growing embryo is determined. Well, humans require a male parent and a female parent to give rise to a new individual. As we've already studied, the human germ cells do not have a pair of sex chromosomes. Each child receives one copy from the mother and one from the father. It is called as the XX chromosome pair. Each chromosome is named with the letter X. cell make up the 23rd pair of chromosomes. What about the male parent? The male sex chromosome is also made up of two chromosomes. This one is a normal X chromosome, while the other is made up of two short strands. The former is represented by the letter X, while the latter is represented by the letter Y. Look at the two different sex chromosomes now. The 23rd pair chromosomes of the female parent is represented as XX, while the 23rd pair chromosomes of the male parent is represented as XY. As we know, the egg cell and the sperm cell are the sex cells. They do not have 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes. Instead, they have half the number of chromosomes, one from each pair of autosomes and sex chromosomes. Look at the female egg cell. It really doesn't matter which X chromosome of the sex chromosome pair is present here. Why is it so? That is because both are X chromosomes. But do you think the same applies to the male sex cell or the sperm? No, right? It can either have an X chromosome in the 23rd chromosome place or a Y chromosome. Now it depends on which sperm genotype will fertilize the egg cell. If the cell containing the Y chromosome fertilizes the egg cell, the resulting offspring will be a male. An XY combination, you see. But if the sperm containing an X chromosome fertilizes the egg, it will result in a female child. Who do you think that decides the sex of the child? The father, of course. If the father's X chromosome fertilizes the egg cell, then a female offspring, and if the Y chromosome fertilizes the egg cell, then a male offspring. Hence, the sex of the child is actually decided at the time of fertilization itself. It is just that the zygote and the growing embryos appear exactly the same in the cases of males and females. And why is this so? It is because the embryo is only a mass of cells. It does not have organs developed yet. This was about the sex determination in humans. Now we need to know the important concept of reproductive health in humans. For that, do watch our next video.
So from this video, I hope the idea that I have explained so far is now clear to you. So chromosomes and fertilizations, the chromosomes carry the instructions for determining the sex of a baby, and the sperm chromosomes can be either X type or Y type. The egg chromosome is only of a single type, that is X type only. In case of female child, the sperm carrying X chromosome fertilizes the egg, and in case of male child, the sperm carrying Y chromosome fertilizes the egg. That is the story. So here is the pictorial representation which explains with the ovum. So with the two X's, a female child is born, and if the X chromosome of ovum combines with Y chromosome for sperm, then Y chromosome gives rise to the sex chromosome combination of a male child and a female child. How it happens. Now we'll see a simulation regarding this sex determination. So you can see over here is the human cell containing 23 pairs of chromosomes, out of which 22 pairs are autosome and one is the sex chromosome. It's the father giving the sperm and mother giving the egg. And if the sperm contains 22 autosomes and one sex chromosome, similarly for the egg, sperm contains two types of chromosomes, X and Y, while ovum contains two types of X chromosomes only. The combination of two X's gives female child, and combination of X and Y gives male child. With this simulation, it is clear how The sex of an unborn child is determined by the father only. Now, the next topic is hormones other than sex hormones. So, in the previous lecture, that is lecture 2 only, it was stated that pituitary gland is the master gland which controls the functioning of the sex hormones or the secretion of the sex hormones which bring about the development of the secondary sexual characters. So now we are going to deal with those hormones which are actually helpful in the reproductive phase of a human being other than the sex hormones. So we have got yet another video regarding this. So let's go through this and then we'll discuss further.
Have you ever seen people having a visible lump in their throat? Have you ever witnessed grandparents saying no to desserts even if they want to have some? Or have you seen a person who is too short compared to the others in his or her age range? Now you may wonder as to why we're giving examples of all these different scenarios. Well, the situations might be different, but the reason for each is the same. Yes, you heard me right. Every situation has one common culprit called the hormones. Wait a second. Did I just say hormones are the culprit? Yes, absolutely. But how is this possible? We concluded the previous video with a note that there are many hormones in our body apart from the sex hormones. So in this video, we will be learning in general about the various hormones other than the testosterone and the estrogen. Let's begin with naming the glands first. We know that the master endocrine gland is the pituitary gland. Next gland, as we can see here, is a butterfly-shaped gland or the thyroid gland. After this, are we able to locate the two pyramids placed on top of the kidneys? These are nothing but the pair of adrenal glands. Just below the adrenal, we have pancreas. And who comes at the end? Yes, the gonads. This is the testes in males and the ovaries in females. Beginning with the master first. What is the reason for which we call it the master endocrine gland? The major reason for this is the fact that it secretes many hormones single-handedly. That's correct. It is responsible for secreting many hormones that not only order other glands but also bring about the necessary changes in cells. For instance, we know that the hormones from the pituitary stimulate the secretions of gonadal hormones. However, many other hormones like the growth hormone are not targeted towards any other gland. In fact, it directly targets the cells of the body, bringing about growth in the individual. Next on our list is the thyroid gland. Remember the example of people having a bulge in the throat that we discussed at the beginning of this video? Can you guess why they suffer from this condition? Yes, they have a problem with the thyroid gland's activity. The butterfly-shaped gland is known to secrete an important hormone called the thyroxine. And why is this hormone important to us? It is important because thyroxine regulates metabolism in us. But improper secretion by the thyroid gland causes the levels of thyroxine to either increase or decrease in the body. This causes several problems, one among which is the swelling or bulging of the thyroid gland itself. This is commonly referred to as the simple goiter. The next example that we had seen in the introductory part was that of elderly people refusing to eat sweets. And we know the reason for this, right? That's right. Diabetes is a very common disorder found in many people these days. However, what makes this disorder so crucial? To explain this, we first need to understand that although sugar is required for all the cells in our body, it is necessary to only a limited extent. If the supply exceeds the demand, then the cells may get damaged too. Hence, in order to control the glucose level in our blood, we require a hormone called insulin. And now, can you guess who secretes this insulin for us? Yes, it's our pancreas. The pancreas secretes the hormone insulin, which is responsible for regulating the sugar levels in our body. Lastly, imagine a situation where a cockroach lands in front of you. Now, if you belong to that category of people who are brave enough to face it, you may end up killing the creature. But if you are scared by its mere sight, then you will scream and run away. Such a situation is called fight or flight reaction. And it is not only the sight of cockroach, but many such instances in which we either fight or simply try escaping the situation. But why are we discussing this along with the topic of hormones? Well, that is because the reaction is controlled by the next hormone in our list. It's the adrenaline hormone. The name itself suggests that the hormone is secreted by the adrenal glands. These are the pair of pyramid-shaped glands placed above the kidneys. Well, that was about some of the important hormones in humans besides the sex hormones. What do I mean by hormones in humans? Are we trying to say that hormones exist in other animals as well? Of course, yes. And in order to know the hormones in animals and their functions, do watch our next video.
We will definitely know about the hormones in animals later on, but first we need to know about the other hormones in our body apart from the sex hormones. So, as you have seen, the pituitary gland is the master gland which secretes many hormones single handedly. Now, if I talk about that, they have talked about growth hormone or GH in short, which helps in the growth of the muscles or of the bones or in overall increase in size of the body along with age. So the secretion we can say becomes very much high during the adolescent period because that is the stage when we grow actively and rapidly also. So that is one hormone. Then we have got TSH or thyroid stimulating hormone, which grows to which is secreted directly into the bloodstream and stimulates the thyroid gland to release its respective hormones, that is T3 and T4, about which we will talk after this pituitary gland. Then we have also got ACTH or adrenocorticotropic hormone, which again stimulates the adrenal gland to secrete adrenaline. As you have seen, we have got ADH hormone or antidiuretic hormone, which stimulates the kidney or controls how much water to retain and how much to be filtered out of the body and excreted through urine. According to the requirement in the body, water is either retained or excreted. So, who controls that? Again, the pituitary. Then, coming to the next set of hormones, we have got prolactin. This hormone helps in the development of the mammary gland and secretion of milk after the parturition or the delivery of the baby, and then helps in the secretion of milk from the mammary gland. So we can say this hormone helps to nourish the baby after its birth. We know that mother's milk is the best source of antibodies for the newborn, and if this hormone is not secreted, so milk will not be produced in the mammary gland and the newborn will not be properly nourished. So this is a very important hormone after parturition or childbirth. Then we have got oxytocin. This is also known as the love hormone, or it is also known as the happy hormone because it is secreted and it brings about a feeling of wellness in our body. Moreover, this hormone helps in the strong contraction of the uterine muscles during childbirth. So, when the fetus is ready to be ejected, it sends a signal to the pituitary gland that it needs to be now ejected through the birth canal or vagina, and in response to that signal, pituitary secretes this oxytocin hormone, which brings about contraction of the uterine muscles. More contractions, and then due to the feedback mechanism, more oxytocin hormone is secreted into the bloodstream until and unless the fetus or the baby is ejected out of the uterus, and then only the secretion then stops. So this hormone is very essential for again for the childbirth or parturition, because it brings about strong uterine contractions. Then we have the luteinizing hormone, because I already told you that LH or luteinizing hormone helps to ovulate or to release the ovum from the graphical follicle. There is LH surge or sudden spike in luteinizing hormone only when the ovulation has to take place. So without LH surge, ovulation will not take place, and there are many problems faced by the females nowadays, that is anovulatory circles, PCOD, all these things. We also have the last one on the list, FSH or follicle stimulating hormone. So from this you can understand it helps in the growth and development of one of the follicles from the follicle stalk, which will develop and grow into the ovum to be released in the next menstrual cycle. So without the release of this hormone, the follicle won't develop and menstrual cycle won't take place. So these are the set of main hormones secreted from the pituitary or the master gland, which helps to control all the other glands as well as the normal functioning of the body. So this endocrine gland is therefore called the master gland. Next on the list we have got the thyroid gland, as they have shown in the video. It is another important endocrine gland situated on the front portion of the neck or on top of this or trachea and below the larynx or the voice box. It is a butterfly shaped bilobed gland with two lobes joined by a connective tissue. So two lobes are there, and this connective tissue is named as isthmus, and it releases the hormone called thyroxine. Thyroxine is of two types, T3 and T4, means triiodine iodothyroxine and tetraiodothyroxine or thyroxine. So this is two types, and it controls the metabolism of the body. That means the digestion process, the utilization of energy or buildup of energy, and the growth and the development of the body, the development of the brain in children. All these things are looked after by these hormones. And if there is over secretion of thyroxine, it is known as hyperthyroidism, when the thyroid gland is hyperactive. So it is known as hyperthyroidism. On the other hand, when the secretion of hormones is below the normal level, it is known as hypothyroidism. In both the cases, we get to see abnormal body symptoms, which actually signal us to go through the test and then go through the treatment or proper medication to rectify that. In case of hyperthyroidism, we see weight loss, then we see restlessness, then heart rate is more than the normal level, and then metabolism rate is very high. On the other hand, in case of hypothyroidism, we get to see metabolic level rate is low, then we gain weight, and there is sluggishness or fatigueness all throughout the day. So these are the symptoms which tell us to check the level of thyroxine in our body, and see whether the hormone is functioning or the hormone level in the blood is normal or not. Now, if the hormone is not at the optimum level, there is deficiency, then as you have seen in the video, the thyroid gland is enlarged due to the deficiency of iodine element, because iodine is the element required for production of thyroxine hormone. And when this element is not in sufficient quantity, it leads to enlargement of the thyroid gland, and this state is only known to be simple goiter. The front portion of the neck is enlarged. Then we have got the adrenal glands. They are a pair of suprarenal glands. Supra means on top and renal means related to two kidneys. So they are present on top of each kidney. So they are a pair of suprarenal glands. And the hormone that they secrete, there are two hormones. One is the adrenaline, which is known as fight or flight hormone, that you have already watched, either to face the situation, or if you think you cannot counteract, so you need to flee away. And another hormone, that is cortisol, which regulates fat, protein, carbohydrate metabolism in our body. And these two hormones are secreted from two different parts. Adrenaline is secreted from adrenal medulla, whereas cortisol is secreted from cortex of adrenal gland. Cortex is the outer coat or region of the adrenal gland, and medulla is the inner core of the adrenal gland. So both these hormones together help in controlling the metabolism. Adrenaline helps in increasing the blood pressure, the cardiac output, the oxygen uptake, the supply of the oxygen to all the cells of the body, so that our body is prepared, and also due to enhanced supply of oxygen to the brain cells as well, our body can think quickly, or the brain can actually take a quick decision how to act in any critical situation. The cortisol hormone, on the other hand, looks after the metabolism of the main nutrients from the food, that is carbohydrate, protein and fat, and how to handle with the stress or the danger level. So both these hormones are crucial for the body. Last, we have got pancreas, which again is known as the mixed gland, because it functions as both endocrine and exocrine gland. It is exocrine because it has got duct, and through its duct it releases the pancreatic juices or enzymes during the digestion process in the duodenum or small intestine. And it functions as endocrine gland also because it releases two hormones, that is insulin and glucagon. So both these two hormones are antagonistic in function, means opposite. Both are antagonistic or opposite in function. Insulin, we know, lowers down the blood sugar level, while glucagon increases the blood sugar level. Insulin increase the uptake of blood glucose by the cells so that it can either be utilized for energy production through the process of respiration, or can either be converted into glycogen or the stored food case of animals through the process of glycogenesis. And glucagon does the complete opposite process. It breaks down glycogen by the process called glycogenolysis, and it releases or enhances the blood sugar level as per the requirement of the body. So they actually, both of them control the blood sugar level according to the need of the body. And if a person has got diabetes, so in that person insulin level is maybe normal, but that person cells are not responding to insulin or showing insulin resistance. So that is why the glucose is not taken up by the cells, and the level of glucose in the blood is always high. And also glucose can be excreted in the urine if it is beyond the level. Glucose actually increases the thickness or viscosity of the blood, and therefore it will create more blood pressure, because if it thickens the blood when it will flow through the blood vessel will exert more pressure on the walls, and in this manner hypertension will be created. And we have also got some fine blood vessels in the sensory organs such as the eyes, the nose, then the brain. And if there is high blood pressure in those sensitive regions, there can be the bursting of the blood vessels or internal hemorrhage that can lead to a fatal situation. So this is very crucial to maintain the blood glucose level. Insulin, if it is not working properly, then we need to go for medication or take insulin, which is artificially synthesized nowadays in the laboratories, in order to check our blood glucose level. Now, diabetes is also known as a lifestyle disorder. So, in order to manage diabetes, we should go for diabetic food, then we need to do regular exercise and also maintain a healthy lifestyle, the healthy proper sleep wake cycle, so that we can manage it at the best level. Now, role of hormones in completing the life history of insects and frogs. So we know that we have already discussed that how hormones play an important role in human body. Now the next topic is the role of hormones in animals. How animals are also dependent on hormones in order to complete their life cycle. So let's watch this video and then we'll discuss.
When I say the term metamorphosis, what exactly pops up in your mind? I'm sure you would imagine a tadpole turning into an adult frog, right? Or maybe a small larva turning into a beautiful butterfly. Absolutely correct. But have you ever wondered what exactly causes these changes in the body of the young one to turn it into an adult organism? Well, the changes are brought about by the hormones. Wait a second. Did I just say hormones? Yes. So are there hormones in animals as well? Of course. Let's have a look at how hormones work in these insects, followed by their working in frogs. Beginning with the insect life first, we know that a larva undergoes several stages of development. These are called the instar. When a larva turns into a pupa and then into an adult, it mostly sheds its outermost skin layer. And what is this process called as? We know that this is known as the molting process. Do you know what causes the molting process and helps the larva turn into pupa after a few stages? An important group of hormones called the juvenile hormones, which are secreted by the endocrine glands, promote growth in the larva. And an interesting fact is that these inhibit metamorphosis. As a result, the larva only grows in size and not morphologically. But if juvenile hormones do not promote metamorphosis, then who will bring about the changes? Metamorphosis occurs when the larva enters the pupa stage. Once the pupa stage is reached, it encloses itself in a shell and remains almost dormant till the body develops completely. And what does development mean? Yes, it means metamorphosis. So the pupa gets converted into an adult in this way. Now you may wonder, where did the hormones play an important role here? Just think for a moment. If the juvenile hormones do not work in the beginning, then growing and converting to the pupa stage will not be possible for the larva. So isn't the hormone playing an important role here? Similarly, there are many other hormones also in the insect body that are responsible for molting and other developmental processes. However, we do not get into the details for now. So will the hormones work similarly in the higher animals? Say a frog? Absolutely. Frogs also have a thyroid gland like us. And what does it secrete? Yes, it secretes the thyroxine hormone. Now, can you guess what thyroxine will do in a frog's body? Let me give you a hint. In humans, one of the most important functions of thyroxine is regulating elongation of long bones. So now can you guess what function will it perform in a frog? Growth and development of the body, right? Yes. Thyroxine secreted by the thyroid gland will bring about metamorphosis in the tadpoles. However, one important point that we need to note here is that thyroxine will not be produced in case the supply of iodine is insufficient. Thus, if the nearby water bodies do not have iodine content, then thyroxine will not be produced. And what will be the result? Simple, the tadpoles will not develop into adults. This is how hormones are important in animals just as they are in humans. Now we need to get back to the humans and learn a few more important concepts related to adolescence. We will understand the concept of reproductive phase in humans in the next video.
Very simple that they have described the life cycle of either a butterfly or animals such as frog can never be complete without the role of hormones. So the juvenile hormones help to convert the larva stage of butterfly into the pupa stage where it turns into a cocoon-like structure called chrysalis, and it remains in that for many months until and unless it develops within that and comes out as butterfly. Now during this larva stage, the many stages, the insta stages, so it only eats and grows in size. Actually it stores the food because for many months when it will remain inside the cocoon, it will not have any chance of eating, so it actually stores the food. And during this phase you can say that pupa stage is a stage of hibernation and slow growth and development phase. So this is also brought about by hormones only. So juvenile hormone, the word juvenile means the stage when it is not an adult. So the larva stage, it acts in the larva stage to bring about metamorphosis or physiological change into the pupa stage. So both larva and pupa, they are not the adult stages. So therefore the hormones that act at the larva stage is named so. And only when pupa actually gives birth to the adult phase, then we get to see the beautiful colored butterfly. Similarly, in case of the life cycle of frog, from the tadpole stage we get to see the frog stage, and there we call this the events of changes that occur, we call them metamorphosis altogether. Now what are those changes if I talk about? So the tadpole breathes first of all with the help of the gills underwater. It is the gills only which supplies the oxygen. But when it is converted into a frog, it develops the lungs so that it can also breathe on land, because we know frog is an amphibian. It can dwell both underwater and also on land. So you can ask me, if the gill is replaced by lungs, how will it breathe underwater? So the frog will breathe underwater with the help of its moist skin. Then the tail of the tadpole secondly dissolves. You cannot find tail in case of frogs. I think you have seen many of them during this monsoon season also. And thirdly, you will get to see the development of strong hind legs in case of frogs, which will help it to locomote or jump from one place to another or hop on the land. And also another thing is that the development of webbed feet, so that when the frog is underwater it can swim efficiently, because as I said, its life depends both on land as well as in water, as it is an amphibian. So these are the changes mainly which take place in the tadpole to convert it into a frog. Now these changes are also brought about by the influence of hormones only. That means metamorphosis in case of either any insect or any other animal is not possible without hormones. They have also talked about the presence and the action or the function of thyroid gland in the frog, so which also helps in bringing about this metamorphosis, because the development of strong hind legs, so they will also have bones inside that, so it will develop only due to the function of the thyroxine hormone. And for that, the water body in which the mother frog has laid the eggs need to have iodine, without which thyroxine hormone production is not possible. So hormones in metamorphosis simulation, we'll have a look. You can see the eggs laid by the frogs. The thyroxine drives the transition from tadpole to adult. So this is the embryo, the tadpole stage. Then from the first tadpole stage to the later tadpole stage, then the small frog or froglet stage, and finally the adult frog stage. So the thyroxine hormone is responsible to bring about this changes. So the thyroxine hormone triggers the growth of limbs, lung formation and tail resorption, enabling the frog to adapt to life on land from its early life in water. Finally, we have come to the last leg of this chapter, dealing with reproductive health. Now, what is reproductive health? Reproductive means, you have already known, means reproducing capacity, and health means healthy reproducing capacity, means the capability to produce healthy gametes due to the availability or the presence of healthy reproductive organs. And how we can maintain that? There are some good habits which help us to maintain it. So for that, we need to watch this video before our further discussion.
A sound mind is in a sound body. This is something we have been hearing since long. But have you ever thought about the importance of having a sound body? What factors do you think are essential for keeping health in a good condition? And why is good health given the first priority during adolescence? It's simple. Adolescence is the time when our body grows. That is the reason why good health and habits come at the top in the priority list. But before learning about the factors needed for good health, can you define good health for me? You would say absence of any disease. Correct. But is there anything else apart from this? Yes. Good health is the physical, mental, and social well being of an individual. That means, along with the absence of any disease, we even need to have an undisturbed mind and good interactions with people surrounding us. And these factors help us develop a good personality. That is why taking proper care of health is of utmost importance, especially during adolescence. So, how do we achieve good health? Out of the several methods to do so, a few important ones that are simple and doable include having a proper diet, exercising regularly, and maintaining personal hygiene. Is there something we need to be careful about? Yes, consuming substances that are harmful and may lead to addiction should strictly be avoided by us. Let's begin understanding the importance of an appropriate diet first. We always complain to our mom or dad about the food made at home. Most of us prefer eating the junk food available outside our homes. However, the nutritional value of the square meal made at home cannot be matched by any other kind of food which is readily available outside. Our body needs all the essential components like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are obtained from the foods which contain cereals, pulses, whole grains, and so on. Food which is processed and packed, like fried chips or taste snacks, are almost always unhealthy for our body. They contain several compounds and preservatives that harm our body internally. But do you know why we still consume such food items? The problem here is that these effects are seen gradually. It takes a lot of time for their ill effects to be seen. And that is why we take our health for granted and consume such food items. The next extremely important factor in our list is physical exercise. We know rest is needed by our body, but only rest for a prolonged period of time is not good for our muscles. The human body is designed for movement and not for staying idle at one place. Hence, exercising makes muscles stronger, flexible, and powerful. That is the reason why some minimum workout is needed by the body every day. This makes sure that our body remains fit. So, is there anything else that we need to do for good health? Of course. Among many other things, maintaining good personal hygiene tops the list. Having a proper bath, wearing washed and clean clothes, washing hands before meals are some of the good habits that we need to implement. These are common habits for all. But girls need to take special care of personal hygiene during menstruation. So, with all these habits, can we be assured of good health? Well, to a certain extent, yes. Wait a second. What did I say? To a certain extent? This is because there are a few more things that we need to keep in mind. What am I talking about exactly? Kids turning to adults have minds which can be molded easily. They get influenced quickly by the people around them and fall prey to certain risky activities. Many bad habits like consuming alcohol, smoking, and even consuming drugs are things that many kids fall prey to. However, the only thing kids acquire from such bad habits is ill health. Yes, there is absolutely no advantage of consuming any of these products. In fact, they spoil our health significantly and invite several dreadful diseases like cancer. Drugs are the most addictive of all. They rule our nervous system and get us strongly addicted to them. Adolescence is an age of developing and growing our mind as well as our body. The right kinds of efforts help the tree of life to blossom beautifully. All we need to do is to be on the right track without getting influenced by the wrong things.
So, according to reproductive health, so health they have defined as given by the WHO also, that it is a state of physical, social, and mental well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So you have to be physically fit. That means not having any disease. Socially, you have a good family interaction, friends, to go out and enjoy your social life, and also you have a sound mind to think clearly and take proper decisions in your life. So all these things together make up a good health. Now, talking about reproductive health, the habits that they have talked about, if we can adopt on a regular basis, will help to keep our reproductive health maintained for a long duration of time in our life. Firstly, the balanced diet, which should contain the good amount of all the necessary nutrients such as the proteins, vitamins, minerals, which will make our immune system strong and also will help us to grow and develop properly in this adolescent phase. Then daily exercise will also help to develop the immune system and also make our body strong, so that we can, the muscles they are also properly developed, and we can also develop the immune power. Then we have got the proper sleep cycle, that is very essential but often that is overlooked. So if you do not have a proper sleep cycle, that means going to bed at the same time and waking up after a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep, then even if you take balanced diet and exercise regularly, still you may suffer from fatigue and sluggishness, because along with any other options, you first need to give rest to your body to revive, to rejuvenate, and also to produce new cells and repair the worn out cells. Then hygiene is also the next important thing, and as they have said, more so for the females during their menstrual period. Regular bathing, then cutting out of the dirty nails, brushing your teeth, washing hands before the meals and after using the toilets. So all these things will help to keep ourselves very neat and tidy. And for the menstrual phase, I would like to say that changing your sanitary napkin every 6 hours, and then not using any used up or old clothes during those days, and taking proper rest, and not I will say popping in any pills at that time without consulting the doctor. So all these things will help you to keep in track and maintain your proper reproductive health. Adolescence is the period of rapid growth and development. So during this phase, the requirement for the balanced diet is the highest. So we need to include the fruits and the vegetables for getting vitamins and minerals, the nuts and all the green leafy vegetables for having good source of fibers, and the whole grains and legumes and soy for getting the carbohydrates, and obviously the dairy products, eggs, so that we can suffice with the protein requirement as well. Then iron is also required for more production or of healthy red blood cells, and we can get so from iron rich fruits such as spinach, citrus fruits, jaggery leafy vegetables. And we know that iron helps in the formation of hemoglobin, and if we have hemoglobin, then obviously the strength or the inner strength of our body will remain intact. So according to the nutritional meal check, we need to include all of these things: cereals for energy, then milk, meat, nuts and pulses for proteins, fats and sugar for the energy, and also fruits and vegetables for protective food. We need to avoid the untimely food habits. For example, many teenagers involved in taking midnight snacks. So that is very unhealthy. You should brush your teeth after taking your last meal for the day, that is dinner, and go to bed and not take any other meal before your breakfast next day. If you again indulge in taking the sugary snacks during the midnight, it will lead to your breaking the sleep wake cycle, as well as unhealthy tooth decays or dental caries development due to the deposition of sugar and consecutive bacterial action on that. So we need to take care of all these things. So you have already known about the extra care that the girl should take during menstruation, and they should always carry extra napkin with them during this stay for any emergency that can come, and avoid any tedious physical work during this time. Otherwise it can hamper the reproductive health of the girls. So regular physical activity is also required, which will help to balance all the hormones in your body. We know nowadays females especially are suffering from lot of hormonal disorder issues. So if you exercise for a certain period of time, for at least half an hour on a regular basis, so the hormonal balance will be in check. And obviously we need to say no to drugs and other substances, or we can, substance abuse is the greatest addiction we need to avoid at this stage. And because in the life later we will suffer and we may regret, but this stage, well, we will not come back later on where we can rectify. So this is the high time that we understand that these substances, drug substances, will give us temporary hike, but they will ruin our lives in the long run. And we need to avoid the casual sexual activities or contact, and we should also avoid the use of needles which are not disposable. We need to take care of our health for our better future and disease free life. We also need to check that we don't get involved in other addictive practices such as smoking and drinking alcohol, and stay away so as to maintain a good check on our health. So this is all from this chapter. I hope I could give you a good idea about the topics involved in this chapter. Again, if you have any question, to connect with the Fun Scholar Academy. We are always there to help you out with any queries. So I'll be back again with another chapter. Till then, take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye. I'm Shushmita ma'am signing off.